The stars had always called to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and dreamed of what lay beyond. They built rockets. They reached the moon. They colonized Mars. And finally, in the year 2189, they discovered they were not alone. The galaxy was full of life. 7 great races ruled the stars, united under something called the Galactic Council. They had traveled between worlds for millions of years. They had built empires that stretched across thousands of planets, and when they found Earth, they watched with curious eyes. Admiral remembered the day of first contact like it was yesterday. He had been a young officer then, standing on the bridge of a small patrol ship when the alien vessel appeared. It was beautiful and terrifying, a ship made of light and metal that moved like it was alive. The aliens inside called themselves. They were tall, with skin like silver and eyes that glowed soft blue. They told humanity about the Council, 7 races working together to maintain peace across the galaxy. They spoke of trade routes that connected a million worlds. They described technology that could cure any disease, build cities in space, and travel faster than light itself. Humanity was excited. They thought they had found friends among the stars. They were wrong. 58 years had passed since that first meeting. Now Admiral stood on the bridge of the Unity, Earth's greatest warship, watching a holographic message that would change everything. His hair had turned gray. His face showed the marks of age, but his eyes remained sharp and steady. Around him, his crew worked in silence. They all knew what was coming. The Council had called a special meeting to discuss humanity's future. Everyone hoped for good news. Everyone feared the worst. The hologram flickered to life, showing the council chamber. It was a massive room, circular, with seats rising in tiers like an ancient theater. Representatives from all 7 races sat in their designated places, with their silver skin, the who looked like giant insects with 4 arms and compound eyes, the creatures of living stone that moved with slow, deliberate purpose, the others, and the Vex, each stranger than the last. At the center stood High Speaker, who had lived for over 2,000 years. His voice carried the weight of ages when he spoke. The Council has deliberated for 17 cycles, announced. We have studied the species known as humans. We have observed their history, their conflicts, their nature, and we have reached a decision. Admiral felt his heart beating faster. Beside him, Dr. Park stood with her hands clasped together. She was Earth's chief diplomat, a woman who had spent 30 years building bridges between humanity and the stars. She had fought harder than anyone for this moment. Humanity is hereby declared a threat to galactic peace, continued. His words fell like stones into still water. Your species carries violence in its blood. In just 50 years of space travel, you have engaged in 3 internal wars. You have developed weapons of mass destruction faster than any other technology. You have proven yourselves incapable of lasting peace, even among your own kind. Murmurs of agreement rose from the other council members. They clicked their mandibles in approval. They rumbled like distant thunder. Therefore, said, raising one long silver hand, the council has voted unanimously. Earth and all human colonies are hereby exiled from civilized space. You are banished beyond the outer rim. You are forbidden from trade, travel, or communication with any council species. Any human vessel that crosses the border will be destroyed without warning. This decree is effective immediately and without appeal. Silence filled the Unity's bridge. Officers stared at their screens, unable to move. Some had tears in their eyes. Others looked angry, their fists clenched at their sides. Dr. Park stepped forward. Her voice remained calm, even as her world crumbled around her. High Speaker, I must protest. Humanity has made mistakes, yes, but we have also shown great capacity for change. We ended our last war with a peace treaty that has held for 20 years. We have contributed scientific discoveries to the galactic community. We have contributed weapons, interrupted. Your scientists gave us better ways to kill. Your peace treaties are pauses between conflicts, nothing more. We have seen species like yours before, Dr. Park. They burn bright and fast, destroying everything around them before they destroy themselves. The Council will not allow humanity to spread that fire. You're condemning 8 billion people based on fear, said. Not facts, fear. His glowing eyes showed no emotion. Perhaps, but the Council has existed for 3 million years because we eliminate threats before they grow too large. Humanity is a young fire. We are choosing to contain it before it becomes an inferno. Admiral finally spoke. His voice was rough with controlled anger. And if we refuse, if we fight for our right to exist? For the first time, something like satisfaction crossed face. Then you prove our point, Admiral. Violence is your first answer to every problem. The combined fleets of the Council outnumber yours 1,000 to 1. You would be destroyed in a single day. Is that what you want? Said nothing. What could he say? The Council was right about one thing: humanity couldn't win a war against them. Not yet. Not ever if they remained at this level of technology. We ask only for time, Dr. Park tried again. Give us a chance to prove. The decision is final, declared. You have one standard year to withdraw all human presence to beyond the outer rim. After that, any human found in Council space will be treated as an enemy combatant. This session is concluded. The hologram vanished. The bridge of the Unity remained frozen for a long moment. Then, slowly, people began to move. Some wept quietly, others cursed under their breath. A few simply stared into space, trying to process what had just happened. Admiral turned to look at Earth through the viewport. The blue planet hung in the darkness, beautiful and fragile. His home, the home of everyone he loved. Sir, his first officer asked quietly, what do we do now? Watched Earth for a long time before answering. When he spoke, his voice was steady. We go home, we tell our people what happened, and then, he paused, something hard forming in his eyes, then we decide who we really are. Dr. Park stood beside him, her diplomatic smile gone, replaced by something darker. They think they know us, she said softly. They think we'll rage and fight and prove them right, or we'll crawl away and die quietly in the dark. Will we? Asked. Looked at Earth, at the clouds swirling over blue oceans, at the lights of cities visible on the night side. No, she said. We'll do something they never expected. We'll survive. And one day they'll understand exactly how wrong they were about humanity. The Unity turned toward home, carrying the weight of exile on its shoulders. Behind it, the stars remained cold and distant, belonging now to others. But stars, as humans would prove, had a way of changing hands. The news of exile spread across Earth like wildfire. Within hours, every person on the planet knew what had happened. The reaction was exactly what the Council had expected: anger, fear, and calls for war from every corner of human civilization. Protests erupted in major cities. Political leaders demanded action. Military commanders drew up battle plans that everyone knew would fail. For 3 months, humanity raged against its fate, shaking its fists at the sky like children angry at the storm. Then something changed. Commander Lee was 42 years old when he stood before the United Earth Assembly and presented a different idea. He was not a politician or a diplomat. He was an engineer who had spent his life building ships that could cross the void between stars, and he had been thinking. We have 1 year, told the assembly. His voice was calm, almost gentle. 1 year before the Council's deadline. We can spend that year preparing for a war we cannot win. We can spend it begging for mercy they will never give, or we can spend it doing something else entirely. He pressed a button and a holographic map appeared above the assembly floor. It showed the galaxy, the spiral arms filled with billions of stars, the territories of the 7 Council races marked in different colors, and at the edge beyond the outer rim was darkness, unmapped, unknown, empty. The The Council wants us gone, continued. They expect us to crawl to the outer rim and die slowly in poverty and isolation. They think we need them, their trade routes, their technology, their approval. He shook his head. They're wrong. He pointed to the darkness beyond the map's edge. Out there, past everything they know, there are stars they've never visited, planets they've never claimed, resources they've never touched. The Council has existed for 3 million years, but they stopped exploring 2 million years ago. They became comfortable. They stopped pushing forward. Looked around the assembly hall, meeting the eyes of leaders from every nation. Humanity has existed for 200,000 years, and we have never stopped pushing. We crossed oceans when we were told the world was flat. We flew through the sky when we were told it was impossible. We reached the moon when everyone said it couldn't be done. The Council sees that drive as dangerous. I see it as our greatest strength. The assembly was silent. People were listening now, really listening. I propose the Exodus fleet, said. Not a fleet of war, but a fleet of survival. 1,200 vessels carrying everything we need to start again. We take the best of humanity, our scientists, our builders, our dreamers, and we go where no one has gone before. Not to the outer rim where we'd live as beggars in the Council's shadow, but beyond it, into the unknown. A politician from the European Union raised his hand. Commander, the void beyond map space is nothing. Empty darkness between galaxies. Ships that go there don't come back. Ships that don't have the right technology don't come back, corrected. That's why I've brought someone who can change that. He gestured to a woman sitting in the front row. She stood up and walked to the podium. She was young, perhaps 30, with short black hair and eyes that seemed to see things others couldn't. This is Han, introduced her, lead engineer at the Seoul Space Institute. 3 years ago, she discovered something that could change everything. Han took a deep breath. She had never spoken to this many people before, but she believed in what she had found, and belief gave her courage. The Council's fastest ships travel at what they call Factor 8, she began. That means they can cross the galaxy in about a year. Impressive, yes, but their technology hasn't improved in over 1 million years. They found something that worked and stopped looking for something better. She pulled up new diagrams on the holographic display. I've been working on a different approach. I call it dimensional folding. Instead of traveling through space, we fold space itself. Bring 2 distant points together, step through, and unfold. In theory, it could allow instant travel across any distance. Murmurs filled the hall, some excited, some skeptical. In theory, someone asked. Nodded. I've tested it on small objects. It works, but we'd need resources, time, money, materials, to build engines large enough for ships, resources that would take decades to gather normally. She paused. Unless every nation on Earth worked together. That was the key, the magic words that made everything possible. Humanity had spent most of its history fighting itself. Nations against nations, religions against religions, ideologies against ideologies. The Council had seen that history and judged humanity as violent and divided forever. But the Council had made a mistake. They had given humanity a common enemy, a common purpose. For the first time in history, every human being on Earth shared the same fate, exile, together. The vote was not unanimous, nothing human ever was, but it was overwhelming. The United Earth Assembly approved the Exodus project. Every nation agreed to contribute resources, people, and expertise. The greatest migration in human history would begin. Over the next 9 months, humanity worked with a focus it had never shown before. Factories that once built weapons now built starship components. Scientists who had competed for funding now shared discoveries freely. Engineers from rival nations sat side by side, solving problems together. Admiral oversaw the military aspects of the fleet. He trained crews, established protocols, and made sure every ship could defend itself if necessary. But he was no longer preparing for war. He was preparing for something harder, the complete unknown. Han worked without sleep for weeks at a time, pushing her dimensional folding theory from concept to reality. Her first large-scale test, conducted in secret beyond Mars, was successful. A cargo container vanished from one point in space and appeared 3 million kilometers away, instantly. The implications were staggering. "If we can do this," she told late one night, both of them exhausted but excited, "we can go anywhere. Not just the void beyond the rim, anywhere in the universe. The Council thinks they're sending us into a prison. They're actually setting us free." As the year drew to a close, the Exodus fleet took shape. 1,200 ships of various sizes, from massive colony vessels carrying 10,000 people each to small scout craft designed for exploration. Each ship carried genetic samples from every species on Earth, seeds from every plant, data from every library. They were taking humanity's entire inheritance into the unknown. On the final day, as the fleet prepared to depart, Admiral stood on the bridge of the Unity, now the flagship of the Exodus fleet. Behind him, Earth hung in the viewport for the last time. Ahead lay darkness. Council observers watched from a safe distance, making sure the humans kept their promise to leave. They expected tears. They expected despair. Instead, they saw something that confused them deeply. Humans were smiling. Opened a broadcast channel, knowing the Council would hear every word. "You chose exile," he said, his voice strong and clear. "We chose freedom. You wanted us gone because you feared what we might do in your galaxy. So we're leaving your galaxy behind. When we meet again, and we will, remember this moment. Remember that you had the chance to include us and you chose fear instead." He paused, looking at the Council ships on his sensors. "You have no idea what humanity can become when we have nothing left to lose and everything to prove. But you'll find out. One day, across all the years and all the light years, you'll find out." The fleet's engines activated. One by one, ships began to move, sliding toward the edge of known space. Han's dimensional fold generators hummed with power, ready to carry humanity beyond anything the Council could imagine. As the fleet crossed the outer rim, something remarkable happened. The ships didn't slow down or hesitate. They accelerated, diving into the darkness with a confidence that surprised even themselves. The last image the Council observers saw was the Unity's engines flaring bright blue against the black void. Then space itself seemed to fold, twist, and close, and 1,200 ships vanished as if they had never existed. The Council recorded the moment, filed their reports, and returned home satisfied. The human problem had been solved. The galaxy was safe. They deleted Earth from their maps and moved on with their lives. It was, they would later realize, the greatest mistake in galactic history. 300 years passed in the galaxy like water flowing through a river. Empires rose and fell. Wars were fought over resources and pride. The Council maintained its grip on civilization, settling disputes, managing trade, and keeping the peace between its 7-member races. They grew more powerful, their technology reaching new heights. They expanded into 3 new star systems, their hive cities spreading across fertile worlds. They discovered new energy sources deep within dying stars. Life continued as it always had, generation after generation, century after century. And humanity became a legend. Stories were told to young aliens about the dangerous species called humans. The stories grew stranger with each telling. Some said humans were monsters with sharp teeth who ate their enemies. Others claimed they were machines disguised as living beings. A few insisted that humans had never existed at all, that they were just a myth created to scare children. The Council was happy to let these stories spread. Fear of humans kept other young species in line. "Behave," parents would tell their offspring, "or you'll end up like the humans, alone in the dark, forgotten by everyone." What the Council didn't know, what no one in the galaxy suspected, was that the humans were not alone. They were not forgotten, and they were very, very busy. General stood on the observation deck of New Terra Station, watching ships move through the void like fireflies in the night. Below him, a planet gleamed blue and green. The first world humans had claimed in the void beyond the rim. They had named it New Terra because some traditions were worth keeping. Was old now, nearly 200 years by the calendar of Earth. Medical technology had advanced beyond anything the Council possessed, extending human life far past its natural limits. He remembered the Exodus. He remembered Admiral, who had passed away peacefully 50 years after the journey began. He remembered the hard years, when survival was uncertain and hope was hard to find. Those years had forged something new. The latest expansion reports General. Turned to see Sara approaching. She was the chief scientist of the new Terran Republic, a woman whose brilliance had reshaped what humanity thought was possible. Her hair was white now, though her eyes remained young and curious. "How many worlds?" asked. 4,217, Sara replied with a small smile. "We've colonized more territory in 3 centuries than the Council did in 3 million years." Nodded slowly. It still amazed him sometimes how far they had come. The void beyond the rim had not been empty at all. It had been full of stars, planets, and resources that the Council had been too afraid to claim. While the 7 races sat comfortable in their ancient territories, humanity had spread across an entire region of the galaxy that no one else had touched. But expansion was only part of the story. "Show me the new developments," said. Sara activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air, ships, weapons, medical devices, things that would have seemed like magic to the humans of 3 centuries ago. "The latest generation of fold drives," Sara began, pointing to a ship design. "Based on Hans's original work but improved 1,000-fold. We can now travel anywhere in the known galaxy in seconds. Not hours, not minutes, seconds." She moved to the next image. Energy shields that can withstand direct hits from any weapon the Council possesses. "We've tested them against captured cannons. The shields didn't even flicker." Next image. Medical nanobots that can repair any injury, cure any disease, even reverse aging to some degree. The average human is now 300 years. Some of our best scientists have lived past 400. Listened in silence. Each advancement was impressive on its own. Together, they represented something almost frightening. Humanity had surpassed every species in the Council, probably combined. "And the weapons?" he asked quietly. Sora's expression grew more serious. "We have them. Things that could crack planets open, collapse stars, tear holes in space itself. We built them because we had to be ready for the day the Council found us." She paused. "But General, I need to say something." "Speak freely." "We've spent 300 years preparing for war. Every child learns about the Exile. Every adult remembers why we're here. Hatred of the Council is built into our culture now." Sara looked at the planet below, at the cities that sparkled on the night side. "But I've been thinking, if we go back just for revenge, are we really better than them? Are we proving them wrong or proving them right?" Was quiet for a long time. He thought about Admiral, about the speech he had given on the day of departure. He thought about Dr. Park, who had died believing that humanity could be something greater than its worst impulses. "When I was young," finally said, "I wanted nothing more than to burn the Council to ashes. Every one of them who voted to cast us out. I dreamed about it. I planned for it. And now I'm old enough to understand something. The Council wasn't entirely wrong about us. We were violent, we were dangerous, we were everything they feared." He turned to face Sara. "But Exile changed us. 300 years of working together, building together, surviving together, it made us into something new. The humans who left Earth were frightened and angry. The humans who live in the Republic are different." Sara nodded slowly. "So what do we do when we return?" "We show them," looked back at the stars. "We show them what exiles can become, Not through destruction, through example. We offer them everything we've built, the technology, the knowledge, the chance to join something greater than themselves. And if they refuse, if they attack us, his expression hardened slightly. Then we defend ourselves. We don't start wars, but we end them, quickly and completely. He smiled, though there was no warmth in it. The council wanted us gone because they feared our potential. Now they'll see that potential fully realized. What they do with that knowledge is up to them. Months later, the Republic began preparing for contact. Scout ships were sent to the edges of Council space, observing, learning, and mapping. They discovered that the galaxy had not changed much in 3 centuries. The same races held power. The same systems controlled trade. The same fear governed everything. But there were cracks in the foundation. Younger species had begun to chafe under Council rule. Small rebellions flared and were crushed. Whispers of discontent spread through back channels and hidden networks. The Council was still powerful, but it was no longer loved. Perhaps it never had been. "They're ready to fall," reported one scout captain to General. "One good push and the whole thing comes down." Shook his head. "We're not here to push. We're here to offer an alternative. Let them choose their own path." The captain looked confused. "Sir, with respect, why? We have the power to take everything. Why hold back?" "Because power isn't everything," replied. "The Council had power. They used it to exile us, to control others, to maintain their position. And look at them now, stagnant, decaying, afraid of change. Power without purpose is meaningless." He stood and walked to the window, looking at the fleet assembling in orbit. Thousands of ships, each one a testament to human determination. "We're going back not as conquerors," said. "We're going back as proof. Proof that the galaxy can be better. Proof that species can work together instead of against each other. Proof that the Council's way isn't the only way." He turned back to the captain. "And if they don't believe us, if they try to destroy us again," smiled, "then we show them why Exile was the worst mistake they ever made." The fleet's engines began to glow. Fold drives hummed with power. After 300 years of silence, humanity was ready to speak again. And the galaxy would listen, whether it wanted to or not. The first sign that something was wrong came on an ordinary morning at Border Station 7. Captain O of the patrol fleet was reviewing routine reports when an alarm began to sound. She looked up from her console, her silver skin gleaming under the station's cold lights. Alarms were rare this far out on the border. Nothing ever happened here. That was why she had been assigned to this post, a quiet place for a captain who asked too many questions. "What is it?" she demanded. "Station 3 has gone dark," her communications officer reported. "No response on any channel." Frowned. Station 3 was 100 light-years away, monitoring a dead sector of space. Going dark meant either total system failure or... No, that was impossible. No one came from that direction. The void beyond the rim was empty. "Send a probe," she ordered. The probe launched, carrying cameras and sensors to investigate. What it found made its blood turn cold. Station 3 was not destroyed. It was not damaged. It was simply gone. In its place stood something else entirely. A massive structure of gleaming metal and flowing energy, unlike anything in Council records. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, like watching lightning strike in slow motion. "That's not design," her tactical officer whispered. "That's not anyone's design." Before could respond, more alarms began to sound. Station 4 was gone. Station 5. Station 9. Across the entire border, Council installations were vanishing and being replaced by these strange new structures. "Get me High Command," ordered, "now." But High Command already knew. Across Council space, panic was spreading like wildfire. Hundreds of border stations had been transformed in a matter of hours. There was no attack, no battle, no warning. One moment the stations were there. The next moment they were something else entirely. The council convened in emergency session. High Speaker, ancient beyond measure, stood at the center of the chamber. Around him, representatives of the 7 races argued and accused and demanded action. No one knew what was happening. No one could explain it. "This is an invasion," the representative clicked furiously. "We must strike now before—" "Strike what?" the delegate rumbled. "We don't even know who is responsible." "There's only one direction those structures came from," said quietly. His voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of memory. "The void beyond the rim." Silence fell over the chamber. Everyone understood what that meant, but no one wanted to say it out loud. "Impossible," the representative said. "The humans died out centuries ago. Everyone knows this." "Everyone assumed this," corrected. "We never sent ships to confirm. We deleted their records and forgot about them. He paused, something like fear flickering across his ancient face. "We assumed the void would kill them for us." Before anyone could respond, every communication channel in council space activated simultaneously. Screens flickered. Holographic projectors hummed to life. And a face appeared. A human face, young and calm, with dark eyes that seemed to look directly at each viewer. "My name is," the woman said. "I speak on behalf of the new Terran Republic." Her voice was pleasant, almost gentle. There was no anger in it, no threat, just simple, clear words. 300 years ago, this council declared humanity a threat. You exiled us beyond the outer rim, expecting us to die. Instead, we lived. We grew. We built an empire in the darkness while you remained in the light, unchanged and unchanging. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted at screens, demanding explanations, issuing threats, but continued as if she couldn't hear them. "We have not come for revenge," she said. "We have not come for war. We have come to show you what exiles can become." Behind her, the image shifted. The now showed space, but not empty space. Ships filled the void. Thousands of ships, then tens of thousands, each one emerging from folded space like fish swimming out of invisible waters. They were sleek and powerful, designs that made council vessels look like children's toys. Watching from Border Station 7, felt her legs grow weak. She had served in the fleet for 200 years. She had never seen anything like this. "The structures replacing your border stations are not weapons," continued. "They are gateways, portals that can connect any 2 points in space instantly. We have placed them along your borders as a gift, a demonstration of what human technology can accomplish." The image shifted again, showing worlds. Green planets covered in forests, blue oceans gleaming under alien suns, cities of crystal and light reaching toward the sky. "This is what we built in the void you expected to kill us. 4,000 worlds, united under a single government, working together in ways your council never imagined. We have cured every disease known to sentient life. We have extended our by centuries. We have developed energy sources that could power your entire civilization for millions of years." Paused. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "You exiled us because you feared what we might become. Now you see it, and we're offering it as a gift, not to the council, to everyone, every species, every world, every individual who wants to join us. We offer partnership, not subjugation, cooperation, not conquest." In the council chamber, High Speaker listened with growing horror, not because the humans had returned, not because they were powerful, but because of what they were offering. If the younger species heard this message, if the populations under council control learned that there was an alternative, everything would change. The council's power rested on the belief that there was no other option, that the 7 races were the only path to survival and prosperity. And here were the humans, exiles and outcasts, offering a different future. "You have a choice," said. "You can accept what we offer and join us in building something new, or you can refuse and continue as you have for 3 million years, stagnant, fearful, and alone." She smiled slightly. But before you decide, remember this. You cast us out because you thought we were too small and too weak to matter. Look at what 300 years of determination can accomplish. Imagine what we could accomplish together. The transmission ended. Silence held the council chamber for a long moment. Then everyone began speaking at once. The representative was the first to break ranks. "We should consider this offer," she said loudly. "Our people have been demanding reforms for generations. The humans might be the answer." "Traitor," the delegate shrieked. "They are manipulating us. This is a trick." "A trick requires deception," the replied coolly. "They've shown us everything openly. Where is the deception?" The delegate rumbled thoughtfully. "They have power, power beyond ours, yet they did not attack, they did not destroy, they offered partnership." Ancient Stone eyes turned to, "High Speaker, perhaps we were wrong about them. Perhaps it is time to admit that." Said nothing. He was staring at the space where his image had been, remembering a day 300 years ago, remembering the face of Admiral as he promised that humanity would return. "When we meet again," had said, "remember this moment." Remembered, and for the first time in his long, long life, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear, true fear. Not of the human weapons or ships or technology, but of what they represented. A future where the council was not needed. A future where every species could chart its own course. A future where beings like ancient, powerful, certain of their own superiority, became relics of a forgotten age. The council would survive the next few days. There would be debates, arguments, perhaps even attempts at resistance, but knew in the deepest part of his soul that the old order was already dying. The exiles had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The council chamber had not been this crowded in 1,000 years. Representatives from all 7 races filled every seat, their advisors and guards standing along the walls. Outside, fleets gathered in nervous formations. Inside, voices rose and fell like waves crashing against rocks. High Speaker stood alone at the center, watching the chaos unfold around him. He had summoned this meeting to decide how the council would respond to humanity's return. He had hoped for unity. Instead, he found division. "We cannot negotiate with them," the representative demanded, his mandibles clicking with agitation. "They are our enemies. They have always been our enemies." "They were our enemies because we made them so," the representative countered. "We exiled them. We abandoned them. Is it any wonder they grew strong without us?" "Strong enough to destroy us," someone muttered. That was the core of the problem. Everyone knew the humans could destroy the council if they wished. Their ships were everywhere now, visible on sensors throughout council space. Not attacking, not threatening, just present. A reminder of power held in check. Raised one hand for silence. Slowly, reluctantly, the chamber grew quiet. "We have received a formal request," announced. "The humans wish to send a delegation. They want to negotiate." "Negotiate what?" they demanded. "Our surrender." "Peace," said simply. "They wish to discuss peace." Before the debate could restart, a new alarm sounded. A ship had appeared directly above the councils, a human vessel, sleek and silver, that had folded through space without warning. Security forces scrambled to respond, but by the time they reached their weapons, the ship had already deployed a shuttle. "They're here," someone whispered. The shuttle landed outside the council chamber. Guards surrounded it, weapons raised. Then the door opened and 5 humans stepped out. At their head was Admiral Shin, commander of the returned human fleet. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with gray hair cut military short and eyes that had seen things no council species could imagine. Behind him stood 4 others, master strategists who had planned humanity's expansion through 4,000 worlds, Bay, diplomat, who had spent his life studying how to build bridges between different peoples, IM, head of human intelligence, who knew more about the council than most council members did, and a young officer who carried no title but watched everything with careful attention. "We come in peace," said simply. "May we enter?" Had no choice. Refusing would mean war, a war the council could not win. He nodded once and the guards stepped aside. The humans walked into the council chamber like they owned it. Every eye followed them. Every breath seemed to stop. For 300 years, humans had been a story, a myth, a nightmare. Now they were here, flesh and blood, standing where no human had ever stood before. Stopped at the center of the chamber, face to face with High Speaker, the two leaders studied each other in silence. Ancient and ascended human, past and future meeting in one moment. "You've changed," said finally. "You're kind. You're not the same species we exiled." "No," agreed. "We're not. 300 years of hardship will do that." He paused. "You haven't changed at all, High Speaker. Neither has the Council. That might be your greatest problem." Silver face showed no emotion. "You have power. You have technology beyond ours. Why do you not simply take what you want?" "Because taking isn't the same as building," gestured to the representatives watching from their seats. "Your council was built on fear, fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of species like us who didn't fit your model of civilization. That fear made you powerful, but it also made you stagnant. You stopped growing. You stopped learning. You stopped becoming." He turned slowly, addressing the entire chamber. "Humanity was young and violent when you exiled us. That was true. But instead of helping us grow, you cast us into darkness and expected us to die. We didn't die. We grew anyway, without your help, without your guidance, without your limitations." "You grew into a threat," the representative accused. "Exactly as we predicted." "Did we?" asked mildly. "We've been in your space for weeks now. We haven't destroyed a single world. We haven't killed a single person. We replaced your border stations, but we replaced them with gifts, not weapons. Is that what a threat does?" The chamber was silent. Bay stepped forward. He was older than, with gentle eyes and a voice that seemed designed to soothe. "I've spent my life studying history, human history and council history. Do you know what I learned? Both our civilizations have made terrible mistakes. Humans fought each other for thousands of years before we learned to work together. The Council has crushed dozens of species who failed to meet your standards." He looked at, "We could stand here and trade accusations forever, or we could acknowledge that the past is past and focus on building a better future." "What exactly are you proposing?" asked. Spoke next. Her voice was crisp, efficient, every word precisely chosen. "Full integration. We will share our technology freely, medical advances, energy systems, transportation, communication. We will open our worlds to immigration and trade. In return, we ask only one thing." "Which is?" "Equality." His eyes were hard. "Not just for humans, for every species. The council system places your 7 races above all others. Younger species must obey or face consequences. That system ends. In its place, we propose a true partnership, every species, every world with equal voice and equal rights." The chamber erupted. Half the representatives were shouting in support, the other half were screaming in outrage. The 2 other races immediately declared their interest in the proposal. The rejected it outright. The remained silent, their stone faces unreadable. Through it all watched. The old stood perfectly still, processing everything he had heard. Finally, he raised his hand for silence again. "You offer much," said slowly, "but you ask for the destruction of everything we have built." "We ask for its transformation," corrected. "Evolution, not destruction. The council doesn't have to die, it has to grow." "And if we refuse?" Im spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft but carried clearly through the chamber. "Then you continue as you have. We won't attack you, we won't force you, we'll simply exist. An alternative, a choice. Every species that wants to join us will be welcome. Every species that wants to stay with the council can do so, but they'll have options they never had before." "You would divide us," said. You divided yourselves long ago, replied. We're just making the divisions visible. Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of 3,000 years. I remember the day we exiled you. I remember Admiral's face as he accepted our judgment. I remember thinking that humanity was too dangerous, too aggressive, too unpredictable to exist among civilized species. He paused. I see now that I was half right. You are unpredictable, but not in the way I expected. He looked at, I expected you to return with weapons raised. I expected rage and revenge. Instead, you return with open hands. Why? After everything we did to you, why would you offer peace? His expression softened slightly. Because we had 300 years to think about it. 300 years to decide what kind of species we wanted to be. We could have become what you feared, conquerors, destroyers, monsters. Some of us wanted that. It would have been easier, more satisfying maybe. He shook his head. But we realized something important. If we destroyed you, we'd just be proving you right. If we conquered you, we'd become exactly what you said we were. The only way to truly prove you wrong was to become something better. He extended his hand. So here we are, better. Not because exile made us weak, but because it made us strong enough to choose mercy over revenge. That's what humans can become, High Speaker. Not the monsters you imagine, but partners, allies, friends, if you'll let us. Stared at the extended hand. In all his long life, no one had ever offered him such a choice. Power had always been taken, never given. Victory had always been earned through blood, never through grace. Slowly, hesitantly, he reached out and took his hand. The council will need time to decide, said, but I will support your proposal. Half the chamber gasped, the other half cheered. History had just changed direction in a single moment. But knew this was only the beginning. The real work, the slow, difficult work of building trust and bridging differences, was still ahead. He looked at his team, at already calculating the logistics of integration, at smiling with quiet satisfaction, at watching the crowd with careful eyes, at the young officer whose name would become legend in the years ahead. The exiles had returned, and they had brought the future with them.